Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So Bitcoin has been chopping sideways for over a month now, and as we exit the sort of holiday Christmas season and enter into the new year, it's time to take a look at what's going to trigger or signal a distinctive move from Bitcoin on both the short time frame and the high time frame, as well as the possibility of altcoin recovery across 2025. As always, before we get into all that, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram channel, and if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. So diving into the charts, guys, and taking a look at Bitcoin, let's really quickly talk about the recent price action and the context for that price action before we dive into our analysis. So we can see here over the last month or 35 days, Bitcoin hasn't really done all that much, right? We've just been essentially chopping between this broader horizontal range starting at $108,000, our all-time high or local top, and the range low of that being $91,000 to $92,000 as horizontal base of support over here. And over the last month, Bitcoin has essentially just been traveling within those smaller levels of resistance and support that exist within that horizontal range. Now, more recently and in the last week, Bitcoin ended up losing this midline for that broader range here at $99,000 to $95,000. And since then, we have been strictly traveling within this smaller horizontal structure here at 92 to 99.5 thousand. So in this video today, we're going to talk about the breakout from that shorter time frame range and the move above 102,000 to retest the all-time high and potential macro bullish price discovery beyond that. So what's exactly going to trigger that or signal that potential, as well as the flip side, so the loss of $91,000 to $92,000 support and the possible retracement all the way back down to $86,000 being the range low of our previous monthly uptrend, and warning signs that that is a real possibility. We'll talk about all the same things on Total 3 as well, the current potential to retrace back up to the all-time high at 1.13 trillion, and the current horizontal range that Total 3 is traveling in right now and what exactly that means. Before we get into the rest of the video, guys, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, BTC. We can get 15% off all of your trading fees and up to $5,500 in sign-up rewards when you create your free account using the link down in my description box. BTC is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. So starting off with our high time frame analysis, right off the bat here, looking at this 4-hour chart, we can see that essentially all we need in terms of signaling a distinctive bullish shift here from Bitcoin is a break above our current short time frame range high resistance at $99.5 thousand. If we're able to successfully establish support at that level, you know, potentially being a rally and then a rejection to retest as support, and in that establishment of support we facilitate a push above 102.5k resistance. That is when we can confidently establish that Bitcoin should be moving, you know, in a bullish trajectory and towards 108k resistance. We can see here in the past that despite those sort of rejections from 102.5 thousand, it is that maintenance of support here at that level that facilitates an eventual absorption of the sell wall experienced here that pushes Bitcoin into 108. Now, moving past $108,000 and into macro price discovery, what we need to see to signal that possibility is over here on the higher time frame charts. You can see it on the 12-hour time frame, the daily chart, and even the weekly time frame. What we're looking at is the bearish divergence that exists on the RSI here on those time frames. So going back to the 12-hour chart, we can essentially see this downtrend that we've created over the last month of price action, where we've seen continual higher highs here on the price action, but lower highs on the RSI. So essentially, bullish exhaustion and bearish divergence. So when we approach $108,000 next, and as we break above 102k resistance over here, what we're looking for is this RSI trend line to break, which essentially tells us that the, trend of momentum exhibited over the last month is breaking as we approach that level of resistance once again. And it tells us we have a high probability then in approaching that level of resistance, in seeing a break and seeing a re-entry into macro price discovery, right? Because we're seeing more strength here at that stage in breaking that trend line than we have seen over the last month of price action. So essentially, until Bitcoin breaks above $99.5 thousand and we see a push above this RSI trendline on the high time frame, the overall trajectory of the price action is still bearish. So let's talk about the flip side of that narrative. What is going to trigger a move to the range flow here at $86,000 and potentially a move even below that level of support? So if we take a look at the current short time frame chop zone between $91,000 and $99,000, we can see that the last two retests of support over here have also coincided with a retest of the 50 EMA on the daily time frame, this blue sort of squiggly line that exists on the bottom here, right? So while it's kind of normal to think that on the short time frame, as long as Bitcoin continues to chop within this range, nothing of real consequence is happening, right? It's a sort of like neutral territory right now. The reality is the next retest of this base of support at $91,000 could have much more significant bearish consequences because of that 50 EMA. So if we go on to retest that 91K support once again and lose this sort of green box at the midline of our horizontal channel here, what that means is that we're seeing enough of a bearish shift here on the short time frame to push Bitcoin below quite a significant momentum indicator and I guess moving average level of support. And that tells us then that we have a high probability or a higher probability of losing this base of support here at $91,000 and in the loss of that support then moving down to 86,000, the range low for our monthly uptrend. So it's pretty clear that this sort of short time frame channel of consolidation is starting to approach a critical period where the next short time frame breakdown that we see here towards 91K has potentially quite aggressive bearish consequences. So that brings us into the short time frame charts, right? How can we tell that we're going to be seeing that next breakdown and whether or not we're going to see those red flags or those warning signs for a further move down to 86? So on the short time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is currently sitting at 95K support. So in terms of bearish triggers or horizontal triggers, that level being lost would signal a further breakdown to retest the 50 EMA on the daily time frame. But what we can also see on the short time frame or the recent price action is quite bullish. So for example, on the RSI here on the 4-hour chart, we can see that we have been developing bullish strength over the last week, forming these higher highs here on the RSI and creating an uptrend. We can also see corresponding higher highs here on the price action as well. So we are developing strength and the short time frame momentum is starting to flip positive. If we zoom into the hourly chart as well, we can see that over the last couple of days, despite increased selling pressure exhibited here on the RSI once again, so we've got lower lows on the RSI, the price action has printed higher lows. So we're seeing bullish absorption of the selling pressure that is exhibited throughout this horizontal structure. So that is a good sign. And it does tell us that on the more immediate time frame, we are more likely to then see a move back up to retest 99K resistance and potentially even going on to then form a short time frame uptrend here, right, which would become a pattern of bullish absorption of this sell wall and potentially a breakout structure. So on the short time frame, things are looking quite good. I would just say that overall things are still looking a little bit murky in terms of the high time frame charts. We still need to see a lot more, namely this 99K broken to actually signal a true bullish shift. And of course, we have our key warning signs to be looking out for in terms of 86K. Now let's move on to talk about Total 3 because things are looking similarly interesting over there. So taking a look at Total 3 here on a weekly time frame, we can see the altcoins have had a little bit of a rough run over here. We've had two really big corrections taking altcoins or Total 3 all the way from $113 trillion, the all-time high for the Total 3 market cap, all the way down to retest $840 billion. And now in terms of altcoin recovery across 2025, the key level that we're really looking for is a sustenance of support at $840 billion. That is our key macro bullish trigger. And the reason why I say that is because it is a level of resistance equivalent to $48,000 on Bitcoin, the dead cat bounce level of resistance, where generally breaking above, we see a move to retest the all-time high, and above that, obviously, price discovery. So in the recent correction, we can see that altcoins, despite their really aggressive move downwards, has actually recovered really, really well and has maintained that level of support. If we zoom into the daily time frame, we can see that we've actually even started to consolidate in a bullish structure here on total 3 after establishing both 850 billion, or was it 840 billion, that crucial dead cat bounce support, as well as 950 billion as basis of support. We can see here on the daily time frame, we've actually managed to flip that level of resistance there to support, most recently testing it as that base there before attempting to bounce it right now. So in terms of signaling that shift back upwards, what we need to see is naturally this structure being broken, the measured move of which should take total 3 to then go on and retrace the height of that flag applied to the breakout point at 1.13 trillion and potentially just above that at that wick previously when we retested it. That's at 1.16 trillion. So things are actually looking quite good for altcoins. We're still waiting for that shift. And until then, of course, it's natural that we're going to see potentially continued consolidation. One more thing to be looking for on total 3 as well is this RSI trend line, the same sort of trend line that we can see mapped out on the price action over here. We've got 2 key peaks of confluence. So in looking at this trend line, when we break that on a daily time frame, so the candle closes with the RSI above that trend line, we can then expect leading confirmation or leading indication that momentum has shifted enough and altcoin investors have, I guess, come back enough. We're seeing enough of a shift in buying pressure to push us out of this structure over here and into this level of resistance at 1.13 trillion, which is the all-time high, and in breaking above that, of course, moving altcoins into price discovery. So altcoin recovery does look very, very probable on the horizon, to be honest, next year. We haven't seen anything that indicates that it is over for altcoins just yet. That would be the loss of $840 billion. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to sign up down below to BitUnext to get 15% off all of your trading fees. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!